Welcome to Slidework. Today we're working on squat slide variations. Here's what you're going to need. All the protection. Knee pads, crash pants are helpful, a good helmet, slide gloves of course, a good board with great concave that really locks you in, good trucks that have good lean and enough support so that you don't low side or high side too easily, and nice consistently slidey wheels that are supportive on the edge. The squat slide is a very good option to have when going really fast, or if you're going into left or right corner and you don't really want to put a hand on the ground but don't really feel super confident in doing a stand-up slide. The squat slide is a very good option to have when going really fast. A couple things you're going to want to know how to do when working on the squat slide is a Coleman and a stand-up slide. This is the position you want to be in. Swing it, sit down here, have a little bit of space here, and then once you want to hook up, just stand up and it should come back to regular. So when you're squatting, you're not really like this. You're not just dumping it all. You're actually very engaged and almost in like a mid squat, almost like a chair pose. You want to have a lot of focus on your front foot. Definitely want to have the ball of your big toe engaged, your heel engaged fully on the board. That way you can sink down by putting your hip back like this and then lean over your foot and use your toes to kind of balance you out there. So from here to here, I'm pretty much fully engaged, basically balancing on one foot at this point. What you want to do with the back leg is you sit down and kind of like lean onto the inner arch of your back foot and put your knee down and a little bit forward so that it's right over the top of your front foot. And you want to dig this part of your shoe into the rail of your board so that you can really get that extra leverage because there's not much weight on your back foot. From the point we kick out, we kind of want to be opening our shoulders and swinging the board with our shoulders. Power up, hitch that back leg forward, sit down and swing like that. Once we're in the slide and we've kicked it out, you don't want to sit back. You want to stay engaged like you're on that foot, you know? It's kind of hard, but when you're this low, you can also use your back foot to kind of hold yourself up. And you want to kind of keep your pelvic floor raised. You don't want to sit down like this and just completely give all the power out of your knees. You want to have a little bit of space in between your stomach and your thighs. So what you can do is kind of arch your back so you can keep your chest straight and sit down into it like that. Now, my back foot at this point is kind of on the toes. I'm sideways, I'm on the toes, but I'm also on the inner arch of your foot. That way I can control it and bring it back. And you want to be able to do it kind of like on the edge of the road or in a turn, so that worst case scenario, if you do hook up early, at least you're going towards the turn and you don't have to like go into a curve or something. All right, a few things that help with these slides. Speed, a steep hill, a little bit of pavement that is not too grippy and not too slick, and a turn that kind of allows you to step on top of your board and stay over the top of it without getting pitched too far forward or backwards. So that's kind of where a steep hill comes into play. Figure out where the root of the power that makes a slide happen comes from. So for squat slides, that power really comes from the pelvis, the base of your spine. You really want to keep that whole area grounded and engaged. super important thing is to have a rock solid board that doesn't have much flex, because you're going to be pushing into the board a lot using your feet and your weight to make the slide happen. And the road and your wheels are going to be fighting back against you. You want to eliminate any kind of wobble or bounce back. I also like having a board with a lot of concave on the rails and some W in the middle. Having the reference points for my feet give me the chance to kind of just get into the trick instead of thinking too much about where my feet should be. The less you think, the better on these ones. I'm riding a Pantheon 2025 Sacrifice, which has micro drops, a W bar through the middle, and some really good concave on the rails and for your toes, with seismic locked on where it matters. And then I've got these nice Rogue flowery trucks with tall bushings from Venom Skate and 75A Powell Peralta Primos. Sometimes you want a wheel that floats over the pavement more instead of digs in. One thing that can help make these tricks go a little smoother is to get some nice floaty center set wheels with a big core. Having a big support core like the Powell Peralta Snake will allow the wheel to float over the pavement more and not dig in so harsh, so that you can really just focus on your balance and not have to worry so much about fighting. But if you like digging into the road and using that to your advantage to perform these slides, then a wheel without a core, like the Powell Peralta Primo, can be really good. A wider wheel is going to give you a little bit more slip in the middle, whereas a narrow wheel is going to give you a little bit more slip on the edge, so you might not know where you're hooking up or not, or kicking out. So something to think about is a wheel choice for sure. I've really been enjoying the cast Rogues because they are higher degrees, so they still have some turn, but because of the insert bushing and the tall bushing geometry, I can still get a lot of lean off of them, and they perform well for my kind of style right now. Another tip for learning these slides is to stretch. Some wonky positions that your body just is not going to like, so if you just hit this without warming up, you're going to have a bad time. So we're going to do some stretches, especially hip openers. The figure 4 like this is a real good hip opener. I like it. It's good to just move and stretch too, like a little bit, just to kind of like not make it too static. Keep moving. Gonna help my slides a lot. I feel like I'm gonna have a lot more connection to my board because my hips aren't going to be tight now. I'll be able to utilize the muscles better and more fluidly without having to like really just like jam them in place. And you don't want to really jam your slides into place. You do just kind of want to flow into it with consistent power. Session after yoga goes pretty hard, FYI. Give yourself a little TLC before you get a little Cindy. Know what I'm saying? Wrap your arms around your leg and then just like roll on your butt. This is like a massage. Oh yeah, that's good. Oh. Next, we're gonna work on squat slides with grabs. I'm doing grab tricks with this trick. It's a little bit more tough because you're kind of getting rid of the shoulder swing that you can add to make that turn happen. When you get down and you grab rail, you can't really swing too much, but you can pitch your hips forward like that, which will take weight off the back, and then lean back a little under your front heel, which will make the back easier to kick out, because that's a more natural position. You can also do it in one quick motion too, which is a little more advanced, but it does work. And that way you can kind of start the carve, get down low, pitch your weight forward, and then grab and kick at the same time. It's a little more risky, but it looks really cool. So how we do the slide and compensate for that shoulder swing is you want to get low first and then grab your board and then kind of lean forward on your front foot and pitch your torso over your front leg, and then carve by kind of poking your knee out and keeping your hip kind of over your foot, and that'll kind of like give you the extra leverage to swing the board around. And you want to hold on. So put this hand in front of you and then kick out, keep engaged, and then it'll come back and you can stand up out of it. Gotta use the carve in the road to help you out. Locked in, baby. Lastly, we're gonna be working on Roman candles. Now, I'll be honest, I don't really have these super dialed, but luckily, we found a good hill for it. We've got a nice dropping corner, which has a consistent turn that we can kind of start poking them out in. And the pavement's really nice too. It's worn in, not too grippy, not super slidey, but very smooth and consistent, so we'll be able to feel our wheels and we'll be able to stay on the top of our board without having to worry about too much banking or pitching that the road might cause during our slides. To start my slide with a low angle in a corner and start turning into the slide while keeping your chest pointed downhill, your hand near your face, and your back arched, kind of like a cat, so you can keep your weight over your board. Once we have the low angle one down, and try to slide to a stop. And that should give us the intel we need to figure out how to control them pretty well. So it also kind of works with other slides too, like squats or stand-up toe sides. If you're going for distance and want to really crank out the extra meters or feet to do the slide, try practicing sliding to a stop doing the slide. All right, so some things you need to know how to do when working on the Roman candle slide is a hands down toe side pre-drift. And for the toe side Roman candle slides, a lot of that power is gonna come from your lower back and your thighs and your hips, as well as your feet rooted to the board. So kind of focus on powering up through those areas when doing these slides, and that should help them happen. I think the key to this slide is really just committing to keeping your slide going without putting your hand on the ground. Basically, I want to put power into it, but not too fast or too slow, just gradually, so that it's not jerky or anything like that. It's just a fluid dynamic movement that is constantly moving. I never really want to stop putting power into it. So put power into it and then sink it back while still having it under control. All right, let's give it a go. Okay, that was something. Ooh, tough. I'm trying to figure out how to keep more weight forward so that I don't 180 or ice out. I think what I need to do is like dig into my heel more, stand over my front foot more, and really just like finesse my top-down control into the board over the road by focusing on that front foot while pitching my hips forward. So I'm gonna try to move a little slower this time, really just let the road do the work, and we'll see what happens. Wow. Okay, obviously shredding, but like super sketchy 180s. I'm not a fan. Some things I've noticed about the Roman candle is that you kind of want to have a turn, because when you're turning, you're leaning off your board and the turn is kind of supporting you through the like crest or the apex. What I think having a turn does for learning the Roman candle is it kind of gives you a good balance point on the front of your board when you're opening your chest and looking into the turn, because we're used to doing that already. And then while you're in that apex, you can really just like flick it out and feel the apex kind of like linking up with your front truck, and you can kind of play with how much you kick it out and how much you swing it back. Whereas if you're kind of just doing this in a straightaway or an off-camber turn, you're kind of just like hucking it and rolling the dice, and it really just comes to like power and standing hard to stand your board. So having some turns helps a lot. No. All right, just a little scraped up. Also, crash pants for the win. As I said earlier, knee pads are super important. I've already eaten shit like 3 times today, and these knee pads have saved my ass. I would be at the hospital with lots of water and pain going through my kneecaps right now if I didn't have these pads on. So I want to keep skating, so I'm going to keep wearing pads. Now we're going to practice sliding to a stop doing these Roman candle slides. So in order to do that, I found a little bit steeper hill with a little bit more forgiving pavement, and also it's just going to be a little bit easier for me to not have to get as much speed to do the trick and slide to a stop. So I'm going to change to these 6682A Primos. What I'm expecting to happen is the harder urethane is going to give the lips a little bit less deformation. They're a little bit narrower too and smaller, so they're going to slide a little bit easier, and I should be able to stay on top of them a little bit better. Got to break them in first though. Pop. After looking over the footage of my crash and the way I was doing those Roman candles, I found out that I'm not keeping my chest pitched forward towards the road enough, and not really arching my back as much as I need to. When I'm doing the squat variation slides, one thing that will make it so it doesn't work very well is whether or not I'm keeping my chest like pointed straight downhill. Like if I over rotate this way, I'm gonna do a 180 and I'm not gonna be able to bring it back. So really kind of want to keep the idea of like an arrow pointing out of your chest, kind of leading where you want to go. And you don't really want to over rotate. You kind of want to get to that spot where your chest is pointing where you're going and where you're looking, and then lock it in and then bring it back once you're done with it. With Roman candles, I think it's the same thing. So I might need to bring my front shoulder back a little bit so I can actually open up my chest more. So if I can arch my back up and stay over the top of my board by keeping my chest pointed downhill better, that should allow the slide to be more consistent and more under my control. Sounds like a pretty gnarly position to be in. Probably gonna do a little bit more stretching, especially in my lower back, upper back, hips, and then really just try to focus on the form going slow, and really hoping that helps make the slide be unlocked. I'm also pretty tired of my back hitting the ground, so I'm putting on my spine protector. And I'm not gonna lie, this Roman candle shit's scary. Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm just throwing my body against a wall, you know, just tossing my carcass. I mean, I would honestly rather go off a launch ramp than do this right now, but I don't have one of those, so I'm kind of just stuck. All right, I'm just gonna try to slide to a stop doing Roman candles. I'm not gonna go super fast. I just wanna get the form down so I can figure out what to do next. All right, I'm gonna take a look at the footage and see what's going on here. Hip pads. Well, hopefully I can learn something from all this. Alright, so looking at the footage, it looks like I'm carving a little bit too much, which is making me do a pindy, which is pretty hard to hold onto when I'm trying to do a Roman candle. And I think possibly also my back foot is a little bit too far back. I think if I bring it closer, I could kick it out at a lower angle, which should help me be able to do it when not carving sharp. So I'm gonna try to like almost just do it in like a straight arc, like the biggest arc of a carve I can, and yeah, hopefully it works. All right, just gotta find my line here. Start turning late and kick it out. When I start turning without pre-carving, it should work. Oh, okay. Huh. Kicking too late. In. All right, right here. I'm done trying these for today. Okay, I think I didn't have enough weight in my front foot, which caused me to fly off the front. So I'm gonna try it again. This time I'm gonna try to keep my back leg a little bit more perpendicular with the board, and really just try to lean onto that front foot super hard. That helped.